Today on the Frugal Filmmaker, I review the Aspen Unbalanced Mono Lav Mic and compare it to my old standby, the Radio Shack clip-on mic. Okay, the first thing you notice here is that the Aspen mic comes in its own case, or a tin. This is essentially an Altoid size tin, but it's got a nice logo on the front here, and I like the idea of having a case for your lav mic. I don't have a case for my Radio Shack mic. I've had to use or repurpose a traveling soap container, which is okay. It only cost me $1. I like the idea of this coming with its own case, or tin as it were. Open it up, and the first thing you see is this little checklist right here, and this is a checklist of all basically quality control items it's going to have to pass before it leaves the factory. And there's a little tech ID number right here, so I guess you can nail down the person if it didn't check out properly, if it got to you and doesn't work. On the back of this card is your warranty information. The microphone has a 5-year warranty, and it tells you on this card to keep this card. So if you ever have any problems with the microphone and you want to use your warranty, you have this number right here, and you can use that information to get yourself a new microphone within that 5 years. So inside the tin we have the microphone in a plastic bag right here. Notice also in the bottom of the tin there's some spongy material for padding. Kind of wish there was also the same padding on the top of the tin so it could be totally protected, but that's not too bad having it on the bottom. I'm assuming this isn't going to move around very much once it's packed and traveling. So you open up the bag, and it comes with 2 foam windscreens like so you don't have to buy your own later. They're just your basic windscreen that fits on the head of the microphone. Your microphone itself right here looks pretty basic. We have the mono connector right here. I did request a mono microphone so I could use my little adapter in case I wanted to run a level lower than the other, so I still have that option. They also come in stereo versions. And then you have your microphone with a clip right here. This is a little bit different than your normal lav mic because the microphone clip right here that attaches to clothing or whatever you're clipping it to doesn't hold on to the microphone head. It actually holds on to the wire right under the head. Now this is an interesting design because normally in most lav mics the first thing to fail is the cable connection that goes from the mic to the microphone head, or the wire to the microphone element or the microphone head right here, because this wire will often get moved around the most of anything on a lav mic, and essentially or eventually that will short out because of all the movement. Now, they've chosen to try to eliminate that problem by clamping onto the cable itself and not the microphone head. Now, that's an interesting idea because it does eliminate this problem right here, where if this gets moved around the most, that will not short out because it's not the weakest connection, or it's not going to be the point that breaks. What's going to break is up here. So I guess the idea is that your microphone head will not get moved around that much. However, with this design, I wonder about that because notice this tapering shape right here. I would think that if this gets bumped, it's going to move around quite a bit and eventually cause a short right here. I don't know, time will tell, but I would think a slightly better design might be to have this bottom connection here that sits, or that can sit on top of the clip right here, be flat so that there will be less movement, so that connection will not break over time. But I don't know, they've probably put in way more research into this kind of thing than me. Obviously they're a microphone company, I'm not, so I'll have to see how that works out. But that's just one thing I noticed right away, which was kind of interesting, that I normally wouldn't see on any other lav mic, or that I've noticed in the past. Usually this clamp right here holds onto the microphone element or the head itself, and not the cable like it has here. Otherwise this looks pretty standard, and you've got your clip here, which is a little smaller than my Radio Shack clip. That's basically it right out of the package. One thing I wanted to do also is connect it immediately to my Zoom H1, because if you notice this microphone does not have a place for a battery anywhere. Like my Radio Shack mic takes a very small button cell battery. This has no battery anywhere, which is nice because it's not powered by batteries, but you have to have something that will power it, that will provide some voltage on the microphone input right here. And the Zoom H1 will do that if you plug it in like so. Now I've already kind of preset this to the proper level, because if you notice we're getting a reading right there. If you can see the microphone level, it's about -24, -12. It shot up there because I was being a little loud. But this is not right under my mouth. This is like 2 feet away from my mouth, and I'm getting a decent reading. And if you look at where it's set at 50. This is kind of what the Zoom H1 comes out of the box when you want to set the level. It's set to about 50 as a default. Now in comparison, my Radio Shack mic takes a level 95 on the Zoom H1 to get a proper level. So this takes a much less driving from the recording device to get the microphone to read the proper level, which is a plus, because that just tells me that it's well designed. It's a hotter mic, definitely, which means I don't have to push my recorder that much further to get a decent level, but it actually puts less of the lifting on the recorder and more on the microphone itself, which in theory is a good thing because that means that there should be less noise in your recording because you're not having to work your recorder as hard. So that's an interesting observation right off the top there, and we'll have to see how it sounds coming up. Okay, I'm now going to let you listen to both these microphones competing against each other in an identical recording environment, and I will switch back and forth between the microphones and label them so you can get an idea about how each one sounds when compared to the other. Now, as you can see, I'm wearing both microphones on my shirt. I've got the Aspen microphone down below and the Radio Shack microphone above, essentially in the same position. That really shouldn't matter. They're both being recorded into identical Zoom H1 handy recorders. They're being recorded at a 48 kilohertz frequency as 24-bit WAV files. The only real difference here is that the Aspen microphone runs a little hotter, so it's being recorded at a level of 60. Radio Shack, not as hot, so it's being recorded at a level of 90. Both are set up to hit an average negative 12 dB. So hopefully, as I've explained this and I've gone back and forth, you get a better idea about how each mic sounds. I am now going to listen to both microphones and give you my closing remarks here in just a second. So after listening to both microphones, I have to admit, I can't tell the difference. It sounds like the same microphone to me, and maybe it is. Maybe they use the same mic element in both products, and that's why it sounds the same. So we have to use other factors to determine which microphone is better. Design-wise, they both seem to be designed pretty well built for budget-level entry microphones. There is the difference of how the microphone is held by the microphone clip. And remember, the Radio Shack mic is held in a more traditional manner where the clip holds the microphone head itself, and then you have the cable dangling down. Of course, you should always use a strain relief, which is where you loop the cable around the microphone clip so that if the cable is pulled or tugged on, it will tug on the clip and not on the microphone head, which is typically where you will get a short over time. That's why you always see those loops on news or any professional production, because you're protecting your microphone head by using a strain relief. Next up, we have batteries. The Radio Shack uses batteries. The Aspen does not. If you hate using batteries, get the Aspen. If you don't mind using batteries because they aren't that expensive, they're about 99 cents for a card of no-name brand batteries on eBay, a card of 10, or you get the name brand for $45. That isn't that much, and those batteries will last you 2 to 3 years, not a piece, but that card will last you about 2 to 3 years. But over time, of course, that will add up. So considering the total cost of the Aspen microphone is $45 and the Radio Shack is about $33 new if you walk into the store and get it, the idea of using batteries probably brings both prices of the microphones to be equal. The Aspen's a decent microphone, the Radio Shack's a decent microphone, but since we're talking about the Aspen, I would definitely recommend it. It's a decent microphone. It's a good microphone. It sounds good. It sounds good to my ears. So that's what I think. If you like this review, please come to thefrugalfilmmaker.com for other reviews of filmmaking stuff, and thanks for watching.